That was the perfect scene switch. Just like it was like the opening of the Lion King.
Is it me yawning?
Yeah. Right when we came in, that was perfect. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cinema Royale. We are two of the Punch Drunk critics, Travis Hobson, and I'm John Nolan. I guess you can introduce yourself probably, but
That's fine. You already did it.
Yeah. So we've developed this kind of maybe bad habit. I don't know. I kind of like it where we start to show off with video games. And I have to do it again. I was such a casual gamer until Red Dead Redemption 2, pretty much. Or actually, you know what? I've talked enough about that. I'll get there. But it was the Star Wars game, Fallen Order, that really got me into it. And then I fell into Red Dead Redemption and Xbox Game Pass. But then I went to the dark side, Travis. I've been an Xbox guy from day one, but my brother bought a PS5. And he said, hey, you know what? Hold on to my PS4. You can play some of the exclusives. I really want to play Spider-Man. Played Spider-Man. That was awesome. And then I made my way to Last of Us. And went through The Last of Us. And now I'm playing Last of Us Part 2. I don't understand how this game is so awesome, but it is amazing. It's most of the time, 80% of it is...
Great storyline. I mean, I didn't play those games, but I watched people play them on Twitch. So I'm like... I was like invested in the storyline of the game. So I mean, I think that's the thing that probably puts people most.
Yeah, it's very interactive movie.
They're so pissed about the second one because people are invested. So.
Oh, well, you mean about what happens? Spoilers, we won't say it. But yeah.
Well, that and people were upset about her and her being gay and all sorts of stuff. People are people are upset about some things, I'm not gonna say anything about those people other than they're closed-minded and simple, whatever. But at the very least, they're invested. Like they gave a shit about the character just to be angry, which in most games people don't.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very.
I've been playing through all of the Dragon Age games.
Okay, so no, I've heard a bunch about these. I've never actually played it. Is it an RPG?
They're action RPGs.
Okay.
They're more RPG, but they're basically they're BioWare. So Knights of the Old Republic. They're that style.
Okay, all right.
Basically with better graphics and a much larger story.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been playing through all three of them because I know they're making the fourth one at some point soon. And I've been playing through all those, and I'm at the third one now. And I forgot how much I forgot about these games. They're so goddamn gigantic.
Isn't that the best thing?
They're crazy. And the third one, which obviously the most recent one, which I can't remember what year it came out, maybe 2013 or maybe I don't know. But I was playing it, and I was like, man, I know I didn't remember a whole lot about the first two games. I remembered some. I remembered the characters' names, but I was like, man, this third one, I'm really not remembering this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked at my files. They added a shit ton of DLC in the year.
So you basically had a whole new game to play almost.
So it's like a whole new game, and it's even bigger. It's just huge.
That's awesome.
Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, if you might like the Dragon Age games, man. They're really awesome. The second one in particular, you can after you play the first one, you play the second one. Don't delete your save file from the first one because the shit that you do in that first one affects the second one.
Right.
So, which is I always love it when games do that because not enough of them do.
Yeah, I need to give them another run. I've never been anti-RPG. I could never get into them, and it was all tainted from the early days where you'd walk up to somebody and say hit, and they walk up and hit, and then walk back.
Oh yeah. I used to have girlfriends that would watch me play those games, and they'd be like, I don't understand what's happening here. Because it was it's Final Fantasy 1, and it's like a person over here and a person over here, and the person just swings over here.
Yeah.
The person gets damaged. You're like, what is happening? And I'm like, I couldn't really explain it very well because it looks dumb.
Yeah.
But anybody can understand the way these types of games are playing. You would probably like this one. You're fighting dragons and all sorts of shit.
Well, I mean, I've stepped up to them because Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle Earth or whatever it's called, Shadow of Mordor, started playing that, was amazed by how much I liked it, and that's kind of a step that way. Red Dead Redemption and Last of Us, to a sense, are kind of like a step towards that and building your characters. So I really think I need to find a good one, and maybe Dragon Age will be it, because I'm pretty sure it's available on Xbox Game Pass. So
They are on it. That's what got me playing them again, is that they're all on Game Pass.
Yeah, free is a good impetus for me to go. So
If you do have to buy them, if the cost to buy one is like $9 or something cheap.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, yeah, they're worth it. Anyway, okay, that's enough video game talk.
Yeah, I just want to touch on that for a second. We got plenty to talk about this week.
Yeah.
Although I miss G4. I miss Attack of the Show so much.
You already know it's coming back, right? Like, you know they're doing
it. But it will never be the same. You know, it'll never be, the feeling of an Allison Hayslip.
It's the same people for the most part. Even Olivia Munn is in negotiations to come back.
I did not know that part. I thought they were just bringing it back. I figured they.
Didn't you watch that thing they did at the end of the year where they did that whole special when they announced they were coming back?
No.
It was Olivia Munn. It was the guy that she started, Kevin Pereira, and it was Morgan Webb and the other guy who was with her on X-Play. It was all of them. They were all there. They're all coming back.
Okay, well I'm fully in. I'm done. I'm in.
The only problem with G4 right now is they haven't found, I guess, whatever their platform is going to be. Like, I don't think they have like a network yet.
Right.
They don't have it. So they're doing stuff all over online right now, and until they're ready to announce that stuff. But
it's always weird to me that they went out, because it seemed like G4 and Attack of the Show went out just as gaming was getting ridiculously mainstream.
They went out right before gaming started to explode with like Twitch and all other sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And like esports, they went out like right before esports took off.
Yeah.
Right before like Twitch streaming took off, they went out right before. If they waited another year, they would have boomed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just watched this. This will get us back into the movie stuff. So Amazon Prime is this weird, back alley, Diagon Alley, if you will, of gems that you can find. And there's a documentary series called Unlocked with Sean Astin. I think he was one of the producers, and Allison Hayslip's in it, who I just mentioned, even Tom Arnold for some reason. But it's a 6-episode series about behind the scenes in video games creation, esports. Michael Rooker's in it doing mocap stuff, and it's actually really interesting. So if anybody is looking for their fix until G4 is back, Unlocked on Amazon Prime is probably a good pick to go look. I liked it a lot.
All right, cool. Okay, but yeah, we do got a lot of movie stuff to talk about this week.
Yeah.
So we'll probably get to it. We're going to talk about Judas and the Black Messiah.
We are.
I think it's probably one of the biggest movies, or at least one of the most talked about movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's come out this year so far. Did you want to talk about Malcolm and Marie? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we can talk about both of those.
Malcolm and Marie. We talk about those two together.
Okay.
Malcolm and Marie and Judas and the Black Messiah, since they're all black people.
Did you really just group two movies together and say let's do them together because they're all black people? Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. Obviously, we are going to group them together. Just for expedience sake.
Yeah.
This is really want to talk about WandaVision later. I think on in the show as well. But I also want to do a recap of the Sundance Film Festival, which I did attend this year.
Yeah. So Judas and the Black Messiah, I am kind of amazed. I'm not amazed that this movie came out now, because obviously diversity in film has become such an important thing, rightfully so. But the Black Panther Party was like a huge part of American culture, and an extremely interesting and extremely compelling part of American culture in the 70s. And they've always been relegated to the background of other movies, like, Forrest Gump. They show up in there, sorry I ruined your Black Panther Party. And then, bunch of Dead Presidents, I think they were a part of. But there's never been something that...
You remember the movie Panther, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, I do. Okay. But even that, see, I'm forgetting that because I don't remember. That was like 10 years ago, right?
It doesn't play on TV anymore, so it's like it's
easy
to forget.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Judas and the Black Messiah to me, I think it's a terrific film, by the way. I really enjoyed it. Is that we seem to be in this? I don't know if it's almost like we're creating a subgenre of movies about COINTELPRO and the FBI. And how they targeted civil rights groups, and in particular those, activists who are trying to help black people or just fighting for equal rights.
Yeah.
FBI, I was in my review, I was talking about the movie Seberg, which COINTELPRO destroyed that actress played by Kristen Stewart. They
Mhm.
destroyed her career because she was an activist working with Black Panthers, for equal rights. They
Mhm.
destroyed her career. And then, of course, you got Judas and the Black Messiah, where they uh, convinced Bill O'Neill, played by Lakeith Stanfield,
Mhm.
to infiltrate the Black Panthers, get close to Fred Hampton, played by Daniel Kaluuya. Fred Hampton, one of the most charismatic speakers within the Black Panther Party, one of the most charismatic speakers in the civil rights movement. Period. Was close to uniting all of the Illinois branches into one powerful voice, and the government couldn't take that.
Mhm.
So they got Bill O'Neill to infiltrate them and betray Fred Hampton and ultimately lead to his murder. Um, and then I was just watching the United States versus Billie Holiday, in
Mm.
which it is the same exact thing. It's the FBI um, using her drug habit to smear her career because she was going around singing the song "Strange Fruit," which is
Mm.
about the hanging, the lynching of black people. And it was causing a stir. It is the song that they said started the movement, basically. So you have this little subgenre of movies about the FBI, and really the darkest periods of the FBI.
Yeah. I
So the
mean,
dark when you talk about the reasons why people of color don't trust the government, even today, its roots are here. Its roots are here. It's in this little area, and I think there's something to that, um, to the reason why we're seeing these movies coming out.
well, yeah. I mean, because that makes a lot of sense when you put it that way. How J. Edgar Hoover was ever considered an American hero blows my mind. The number of skeletons in this guy's closet, and a lot of them that were in his living room. Not hiding him from anybody. The things he was able to do. But it's probably most important to come out now rather than 10 or 15 years ago where it may not have got as much notice because we're in a time now where you got two types of people that know better than to blindly trust anything or anybody, especially the government, and then you have the other people that don't understand why they're there. And things like this, when you put that out in front of you, when you try to say, oh, don't, the government doesn't have time to mess with you, they're not bugging your phones, and then you put things like MK Ultra or COINTELPRO out there, and it's like they have done this. It's the standard operating procedure. And then you add, I can't ever say his last name, Daniel Kaluuya. How you say it? Danny Kaye, and Lakeith Stanfield, and then the twins version of Matt Damon. I always say Jesse Plemons. Like if they made a twins movie nowadays, it would be Matt Damon and Jesse Plemons in the DeVito role. But Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, man. Stanfield obviously got a lot of, well, I guess they both really got a lot of recognition after Get Out. But something about Lakeith Stanfield really, really pops out to me. He hasn't done a ton that people would know him from at this point. I mean, it's been Knives Out. He was in that Uncut Gems, Girl in the Spider's Web, Sorry to Bother You. It's a lot of movies, but nothing that's really popped out. And I feel like, or I hope like this is going to be his moment to really get out there.
I,
You know what I
I
mean?
I think I would disagree with you on that. I think he's already out there. I think
You
he's
think
one of
so?
those actors that people love him. If not for his movies, then from Atlanta. Um,
Oh,
love him in Atlanta. But I think in terms of his movies, people love that guy and pretty much everything he does.
hmm.
He's one of those actors. I don't think he's ever going to be Mr. A-list actor. I don't think that's his. I don't think he's going to be. He's not going to be the blockbuster Denzel Washington guy. Like I don't think that's his aim either.
Hmm.
I think he's making the kind of movies he wants to make, which is why he's jumping around doing all sorts of different things. Like a whole bunch of his movies, you can't really predict where he's going to show up, which is why I like him.
Hmm.
Um, remember the first time we saw him was in Short Term 12, and we all thought that guy's going to be a star, and yeah, he sure as hell is. Um, he's great. Um, this movie to me, I just feel like it had such great intensity to it, and I love that it's told basically from the O'Neill perspective,
Hmm.
and he's a figure that if you know Bill O'Neill in real life and you know how he ended up, which they tell you about at the end of the movie. He's not someone that you're ever going to root for. Like, you don't want to root for this guy. He's in it for himself. He's totally self-serving for the most part. And I mean, the first time we meet him in the movie, he's using a fake federal badge to try to steal from other blacks, and
Mm.
he's totally in this for himself. So when he gets recruited into the FBI to be an informant, to be a snitch, uh, he has no compunctions about doing it. He doesn't care. He
Mm.
doesn't care that he's selling out his own people, that he's betraying the Black Panthers, who at that point are really just trying to help. Especially in particular, Fred Hampton was just trying to help people
Mm.
at that point. He's not like one of the more militant guys in the Black Panthers. He's just trying to quiet. They're just wanting to quiet a voice, and he was just doing it because he wanted the money. He didn't really care about what was going on. But somehow during the movie, they almost make you sympathize with him just a
Yeah.
little bit, because he starts, while he's so deep in there, he starts to kind of not just question what he's doing, but maybe even start to believe a little bit.
Yeah.
And you believe that because Daniel Kaluuya's Hampton is so convincing, you can almost believe O'Neill's transformation.
Mm.
So if one side of that equation didn't work, the whole movie doesn't work. Um, but both are such great actors that it works out great.
Yeah.
There's some shootouts in it. But they don't. Mainly, they don't. They don't shirk away from on how corrupt the government was and the things they were willing to do. How dirty they were willing to get in
Yeah.
order to get to these people. And they didn't just kill him; they killed a lot of people, a lot of black people within the party that way, a lot of people within the movement. It's a hard movie to watch sometimes, but it's also really really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the most
Yeah,
important thing about the movie is, people, even if they don't trust the government, it's still a leap for them to imagine the government actually, you know, targeting people for assassination in the country. And this is now is not the time to shy away. I mean, I think we're in a progressive enough place right now that you can put this stuff out there without worrying about your career going down. And I mean, it goes back to like the one night in Miami stuff. Do you, as a filmmaker, a person in a position of power, do you have a responsibility to do that? And that's not really the place for this, but it seems like people are answering that call, for sure. So yeah, it was a powerful movie and really educated to me. I mean, everybody refers to them as militant, and certainly growing up and until recently, and this movie even pushed that a little bit. I thought of them as militant. I knew they started to help out the neighborhoods, and then they almost try to portray the Black Panthers as an occupying army or something like that,
yeah,
that they're trying to take over. And you really get to see that, oh, wait, you can't call them militant if it's self-defense, if they're actually,
yeah.
if they're having to do this.
You also have to think about who was constructing that narrative.
Right, yeah.
And look, the Black Panthers were like any massive group. There are people all across the spectrum,
Hmm.
right? I mean, there are people that are militant. There are people who were more, who were nonviolent and peaceful. I mean,
Hmm.
that's just kind of the way it was. They all had the same goal, but they all had different ideas on what the approach was. But and for the people who construct that narrative about them, well, they're all the same. They're all the same.
Yep,
So,
exactly. And I think that's why one of the most beautiful things comics has done for a lot of people, because whether they want to try to or not, obviously I'll admit that a lot of people, white people, don't try to understand. But even the ones that do, I mean, if you're never in that position, if you're never able to relate fully, it's hard to understand. And that's one of the things. For some reason, comic book geeks can relate to characters on a page, mutants, see themselves in the X-Men more than they can see in other members of their own human race. But that's one of the beautiful things I think that X-Men has done. And I don't know if it was actually meant or not. I've seen people go on both sides, but the whole idea of the X-Men as an allegory for the civil rights movement, with Magneto as Malcolm X and Charles Xavier as Martin Luther King. Whether that's intended or not, I don't know, but I always thought it was a really cool way to look at it, because you get a whole universe of people that help people that don't otherwise understand or can't relate understand.
right.
I don't know how I turned that into an X-Men conversation, but So
You're looking for an easy way to explain it. I
yeah.
get it.
Um,
It's
so
only mildly insulting.
as I was saying that, and I said the mutants thing,
I'm just
I was like, there's no way I make it out of this without being canceled. So I'm just gonna keep going, and hopefully, everybody knows my best intentions are there. Let's talk about something that's a little.
Definitely go and check out Judas in the Back Messiah. There's a reason why there's a lot of buzz.
Absolutely. Now, Malcolm and Marie was something that I wanted to watch, but I didn't actually intend to watch right away until I started seeing stills come out of Zendaya in this, who really, up to this point, was Spider-Man's cute little high school girlfriend.
Jesus Christ, she's hot in this movie.
She's an adult.
I know you're usually the one that's
yeah, I mean it's.
But and I try to keep it in check, but Jesus Christ, she's hot in this movie, man. It's ridiculous.
I mean, it almost has to be said because it's almost part of her performance. Like she is so powerfully attractive in this movie. It's ridiculous. And then you have John David Washington, who by his own rights is Denzel's son. So you have these two amazing looking people coming together one night. Their relationship, how it changes. I mean, I can barely concentrate on the movie, but it was.
Are you putting like pictures of Zendaya above the screen right now? Is that
there's trailers running right above our head. Yeah, she just came out in the wife beater tank top. So I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Oh yeah, that was nice. Malcolm and Marie is another movie that's got a lot of buzz surrounding it, and it's mainly for its stars. I mean, of course, this is an acting showcase. That's what this movie is. Mm-hmm. It's directed by Sam Levinson, who created the show Euphoria, so he and Zendaya know each other very well. Mm-hmm. He also directed the film Assassination Nation, which I liked a lot a few years ago. And basically, it is a two-hander. It is John David Washington as Malcolm and Zendaya as Marie. And it takes place over the course of one night, the best night of his life. He's launched his directorial debut. It's gotten ravenous applause, all the accolades you could ever want as a filmmaker. And he comes home, he's high as a kite, he's just so happy. She's in there making them Kraft macaroni and cheese at 1 o'clock in the morning, which I totally can relate to. And, you can just see the look on her face that this shit ain't gonna go right. Mm-hmm. You see the look on her face. And there's a lot of moments like that in the movie where you find yourself kind of like you're in the room staring at, like, watching this thing.
Yeah, it's voyeuristic.
And you're like, and you wish, like, if you were his boy,
mm-hmm.
and like you were like across the room and like her back was to you and he was looking at you, that you could be like, you could like warn him that
it's like a horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah, like you could warn me like you're being an idiot and you're about to get shit on really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, not to go into the whole thing, but it basically jumps off when you find out that he didn't thank her during his speech. He left her out.
And I loved how real that was.
That was a real moment. But there's a lot of real moments in here. The conversation explodes, of course. I mean, there's resentment, and of course, she feels mistreated, and there's no physical abuse in the movie, but there's a ton of verbal abuse throughout this movie from both of them. Mm-hmm. This is a movie about two people who clearly love each other because they know exactly how to hurt each other. Mm-hmm. And they do that over and over again in the movie. They hurt one another in the worst possible ways. They say exactly the things they know is going to get the other person riled up and hurt them. Mm-hmm. And that's what this movie is for a lot of the time. And it's often exhilarating and often electrifying and often, in fact, a lot exhausting. You're sitting there watching it and you're like, the emotions run high for 100 minutes. The movie's 100 minutes long. Yeah. The emotions run high the entire time. And yeah, there's some love in there too. There are moments of it. But even when those are happening, there's always that I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like I'm waiting for the person for one person to say the thing that will end this happy moment and bring it back to a fight. Because I've seen these kinds of people. I've even been in a relationship like that for a time or two.
Haven't we all?
Where the fight. I mean, look, the fight is the thing, and people fight, and you get into a certain kind of mode where you just want to win the fight.
Yeah.
And these are people who want to win the fight. That's the kind of people these are. Yeah, they love each other, of course they do, but they want to win the fight.
Yeah, this is
And
what I
there's
call a
a lot
Xanax
of
movie.
that. It's called a what?
A Xanax movie, because if I got some anxiety issues, and watching stuff like this, and it chimes into what you were saying earlier about if you were his boy sitting in the room, because you're all, oh man, it's just like,
He's such a dickhead.
yeah,
He's a dickhead.
you're just like, just shut up, just shut up, just shut up. And I think that's really the beauty of the movie in itself, is that it is so real. It paints both. Nobody's the good guy or bad guy, really. I mean, you could obviously lean one way or the other, but both have their positives and their negatives. There's something so real and so identifiable and so relatable to anybody that's ever been in a less than healthy relationship. And the fact that they even tackle like that thin line between love and hate that happens in those relationships so
Angela's
well.
tapping her foot right now.
No, well, yeah, not my current one.
She's tapping her foot right now.
I've never thanked God for the soundproofing in this room more.
There you go. There you go.
No, I found the love of my life. I found the one that makes me appreciate that I'm not in one of those relationships. But yeah, and on top of everything else, I mean, we talked about the beauty of the actors, but the movie itself is shot beautifully. I mean, it wasn't an afterthought. A lot of times in character studies like this, you'll get the look of the film takes a back seat, and the way the shots were crafted, the whole black and white thing.
Black and white is gorgeous.
Was that?
I said the black and white is gorgeous.
Yeah, a mixture of long and we don't really talk technical in here a lot, but there's a bunch of these long shots that just silhouette everything, and it's a gorgeous movie. I mean, at the end of the day, it's gorgeous.
It really is. I mean, look, it's not a perfect movie. I have issues with it. I have quite a few actually. I said it's one. Levinson also, I think he puts his own voice in there a little too often for me. There's a whole stretch, there's a whole thing really, where Malcolm is tearing apart film critics, and he's tearing apart, in particular, white film critics from like IndieWire and LA Times, who gave him a good review, but he doesn't like them. He doesn't like the fact that they frame black movies from a political or racial lens, and they always look to do that. And yes, he's right that liberal white critics do that. I know they do. It's fine. I get it. I understand it. It didn't feel natural coming from Malcolm. It didn't feel natural coming from Malcolm at a time when he's admitted himself this is the greatest night of his life and this is the happiest moment of his life. It didn't feel natural that he himself would want to look for reasons to shit on it. It did not strike true to me. It felt like Sam Levinson had something to get off his chest.
Which is weird that he took the racial aspect, seeing as he's a white guy.
I mean, well, look, he's as much a victim of the white guilt as probably anybody else. It's probably why he recognized it. But it's just that stuff didn't feel right to me. Like it just didn't feel like it came from a place of like an organic place.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So I had issues with that because that's a big chunk of the movie. He goes off on a really long tirade about it too. Now the funny thing about it is she calls him out for it. So I mean, I think there's a certain part of Levinson, like I said, that recognizes what he's doing even as he's doing it. So
yeah,
but
therapy.
But to me, it didn't work. Yeah, but I just love these acting showcases like this, and I love movies about really toxic relationships. I think they're fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
Why Closer is one of my favorite movies. It's nothing but toxic relationships.
Have we ever talked about that?
What, Closer?
Yeah, it's one of my all-time favorites, and I don't think we ever have because I didn't know you liked it that much until just now.
Closer.
Amazing. Natalie Portman in that movie. That's where I fell in love with her.
Natalie Portman with the pink wig, yo. That's one will never be forgotten. Clive Owen, the best takedown of a woman in a movie ever.
Yeah. And
but,
Julia Roberts with the most savage reply ever. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That movie's pretty great. Yeah, I mean, I like that she has so much. Look, Zendaya is incredible in this movie, and I think John David Washington is good as well, as a guy who is so unaware. If there's one thing that these two have as opposites, is that she is very aware of herself, and kind of accepting of the fact that she is a broken person, a former drug addict who is who is clean, but probably still very fragile,
Hmm.
and he is totally unaware of how self-centered he is. He has no idea.
Yeah.
I think he might know that he has a big ego, but he is unaware of how self-centered he is and how he treats people. And I think that's when it's self-recognition that is like the big difference between those two, if you ask me. But
Yeah, that makes sense. I was looking at it like less like he was unaware, more like he was purposefully doing it. But it almost makes more sense that he didn't didn't realize how he came off. But
every time he got torched, it's because of something he's just totally unaware of about himself.
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
And
yeah.
she tortures him a lot in this movie. If anybody comes out ahead in this little contest between the two of them, it's her.
Hmm.
She tortures him a lot.
Yeah. Now I never saw Euphoria, so
I
I
never really either, but I always say I'm going to because apparently it's really great. She's great.
yeah, it's definitely one of those ones that's on my list. But so like I said before, Zendaya's my only exposure has really been Spider-Man. So
So you
a
didn't
little
so you
bit.
didn't watch Shake It Up with her and Bella Thorne back on Disney Channel.
No, I didn't. Unfortunately,
I
I
guess I'm the
didn't.
only one who watched that on the plane once. that's how I learned about both of them. It was like Bella Thorne and Zendaya had some show called Shake It
Yeah,
Up.
but I mean, this is my first real intro to. I mean, I can tell what kind of screen presence she had, what that she had that thing or whatever. But this is really a showcase for her all day that we're gonna see really
Yeah,
good work
I
coming
think
from her in the future.
she's great. I'm
Hmm.
looking forward to seeing her in Dune, of course, even though I'm not looking forward to Dune. Um, yeah,
All
I think
right.
she's fantastic. John Day Washington's good too. I just think she blows him out of the water here.
Yeah. Yeah, we're on the same page there. All right, so we got a lot to get through on WandaVision. Before we do that, this was actually the week last week and this week was the Sundance Film Festival. So
Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit.
yeah,
Um,
I know you wanted to do some review, talk about it like that, but just take us through what a virtual film festival is like attending that.
uh, well, this is the first time Sundance has done it. Middleburg did something similar a few
Hmm.
months ago. Um, and basically, it was a lot like being there, except nobody got sick. Nobody got the Sundance flu or anything. And nobody had to stand in lines. But they had set up a whole separate, like a whole online platform
Hmm.
um, for both press and people and ticket holders. Um, the only difference was for press. Excuse me. We got to pick our movies way early, and
Hmm.
once the movies played like their premieres, they would play again like through on demand, like 2 days
Oh,
later.
really?
You
So there's
started
no
watching.
sold out that you usually run into when you get there. There's no movies that you can't see that you want to see.
If you want to see something, you could probably see it. Now, if you were press, you could see it. It wasn't a big deal. I don't know how it worked for ticket holders. I don't want to talk
Hmm.
about their experience. But for press, yeah, there was nothing you could ever really miss.
Hmm.
Um, which was different. That was immediately different.
Yeah.
Of course, this was also a much smaller festival than it normally is because of the pandemic, and there weren't as many entries. Obviously, there weren't as many movies in production, and it was just a much smaller festival. I think they had 70, 80 movies total, something like that. Something
Hmm.
which may sound like a lot, but it's really not compared to what Sundance usually has. Um, but I saw 17 movies over the course of that time, which is about three a day, which is about what I would normally do if I were there. Sometimes I'll sneak in four or five, which those are killer days.
Yeah.
But I did three a day, and I never had any issues reviewing anything. I reviewed every single thing because I didn't have waiting in line times or travel times or anything to deal with.
Hmm.
It's beautiful. Didn't feel rushed. It's great. It's
What
great.
about the other stuff around it? Like obviously, socializing and networking is a big piece of Sundance. And I heard something about they had like
Yeah,
chat rooms or something.
I missed that. They may have. I didn't take part in those things. If they did,
Hmm.
I just, yeah, it's just like when I'm there, I'm focused on the movies. I go from movie to movie, and all I do is movie review, movie review, and that's it. I don't really have time to do much else outside of that once I have an interview to do.
Hmm.
So and it was kind of like that this year too. But Sundance was really helpful this year. They made everything super easy. Premieres went easy as hell. I had no streaming issues either, which is crazy.
They still do Q&As afterwards, like after the screening is done, it cuts to the. Oh, cool.
They have the intro with the filmmaker, then they do a Q&A after for every single movie that they did, which was really nice. So they took me up this year. They gave me a nice chunk of change for being a part of it this year, which is really nice.
Mhm.
Being a black film critic, because we're an endangered species apparently, which is actually true. I released good ones. What else? They gave me an Oculus headset, by the way. Did I tell you that?
No, you did. You left that part out. Did a Go or a full-on Oculus?
Hold on.
Wow, I need to become a black film critic next year. Get myself an Oculus. That's the one thing, folks. While he's grabbing that, that's the it is a grind. I know it seems like, oh, you're watching movies, but no, you're watching movie after movie after movie, and you have to fly out there and walk down. But those swag bags are sweet. Oh, that's the new one. Wait, scroll it over a little bit. You got a Quest 2. That is like a $500 piece of equipment, and they just gave that to you.
They just sent it to me.
And that was our show for today, folks. I am the much disgruntled and jealous co-host.
Yeah, it's got Star Wars, The Climb, Jurassic World on it. Yeah.
Oh, you suck.
Yeah, they sent me that and some money.
And they just sent straight up cash?
Yeah. It was, like I said, it was all part of the a stipend for the initiative that they were doing for.
Oh, okay.
So you're not an underprivileged film critic, so you're.
Well, it seems like I am right now, to be honest with you.
But no, but it was a good festival. This was not the best festival in the world in terms of the movies themselves. I didn't walk away from anything saying that's an immediate best picture contender right there, like I did last year.
Not a single one. Last year, in defense, you had like the best year you've ever had out there.
Last year was good. I didn't think about how good it was until I was doing my top 20 of the year. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that 6 movies in my top 10 were from Sundance.
Yeah.
So yeah, but during the course of the year, I was like, yeah, it was fine. But yeah, this year I didn't really think about that. It was like one movie that maybe, and that was the movie Jockey with Clifton
Collins Jr.
Mm-hmm. Collins Jr., which is really great. Plays a horse jockey.
He's amazing too. Every time I see him, I love that guy.
He's such a great actor. But otherwise, there weren't a whole lot of movies that were just like blow your mind. I really like Rebecca Hall's directorial debut, Passing, with Tessa Thompson and Ruth Negga. Yeah, there was a lot.
What was that about?
That was about. It was set in 1920s Harlem. It's about 2 African American women who can pass as white.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of play it on both sides, different sides of the color line. Like one stays. She accepts that she's an African American and kind of stays with her kind, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Whereas Ruth Negga's character doesn't. She's full on, I'm white. She marries a white guy who doesn't realize that she's black. Has a child with him that looks even whiter than her. So yeah, they kind of play different sides. I'm trying to think what else I like there. I like Robin Wright's directorial debut, Land. It's okay.
I've heard a lot about that. Yeah.
It's an okay film. It's all right. I saw Nicolas Cage's Prisoners of the Ghostland, the Ghostland, with Sion Sono, the director, the legendary Japanese director. It is bizarre.
But you didn't say bad. You just said bizarre.
It's not good either.
Okay.
It's not good either. But it's one of those movies that is like classic Cage, and I know it'll be playing up midnight festivals and college movie theaters at midnight all the time. Like, it's one of those movies. He plays a criminal in this like post-apocalyptic. I'm trying to think how to even describe it. It's like Kill Bill and Mad Max if they like had a child.
Wow. Yeah, Mad Max is what the stills I've seen made me think of.
Yeah, but there's like samurai warriors there too, and geishas, and It's all sorts of crazy stuff.
This
And
sounds like prime Cage, to be honest with you.
it is prime Cage. And that's why it's entertaining. It's not
Mhm.
good, but it's entertaining because
Mhm.
it's just so crazy. So I saw that. Like I said, I saw some good stuff, but it's just nothing that blew me out of the water. You might like Eight for Silver, which is like this werewolf movie.
Mhm.
Um, that was pretty good. And there was a movie there called um, Mayday, which is I said was basically I think it was the movie that Zack Snyder envisioned when he did Sucker Punch.
Okay.
I think it was what he envisioned, but he's not the type. He's not the right person to pull. He wasn't the right person to pull it off. Now this movie had issues too, but I think this is what he was going for, and it's basically about a woman who leaves reality. She has been abused her entire life, basically,
Mhm.
by men. She leaves this reality and wakes up in this fantasy realm where she befriends a handful of women. It's like a World War II type atmosphere, and she befriends a group of women who all they do on this little island of theirs is kill men. That's all they do. They fight men.
Wow.
That's all they do. And I think in some terms of the themes and some of the things that he's going for, it is exactly what I think Zack Snyder was trying to get across. Because that
Mhm.
movie is about traumatized and abused women who escape into a fantasy realm where they fight. And it was basically the same thing, like on a lower budget and like a better script
Wow.
and a female perspective because it was written by a woman and directed by a woman.
You mean to tell
So
me Zack Snyder doesn't have a proper feminine perspective?
I think he thinks he does.
Yeah,
I,
that
I
he does.
honestly, I honestly think he thinks he does. Um,
Yeah.
and also Jared Carmichael's directorial debut. A lot of directorial debuts here. On the Count of Three, which is him and Christopher Abbott as two best friends who decide to kill each other, kill themselves on the same day. And they have one last day, like one final day, and they go off and they have like this wild, incredible day. It's just,
Uh,
yeah,
to
that
me,
was
it sounds
that
like
was
thank God for the Nick
that was
Cage movie because it was a pretty heavy year at Sundance.
that was one of the best movies they ever
Yeah.
saw. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
That sounds like a joyous time. But let's talk about something that is a
Sundance
bit of
was
a
great.
joyous
Sundance
time.
was great. I mean, look, Sundance is always fun. No matter what, this was not the top year. I think this is my 13th or 14th year in a row, which sounds crazy to me to think about. It's been about
Wow.
13 years. Yeah, it's been about. I think it's been 13 years. Which is insane considering we went there on a whim the first time. Um,
You went the first time before we even started this thing, right?
I don't know. No. It hasn't been that long. Maybe it's been 10 years or 11 years.
Either way, I mean, it's definitely a decade, and that's
Oh, it's definitely been a decade because Tim has been there almost 10 years too. And he went. He didn't go at first. It was just me by myself the first year or two.
mhm.
So yeah. So yeah,
Nice.
it's good.
Well,
One of these days you'll have to go.
yeah, well, it's like I told you last year. No matter who you believe in, God, Buddha, Mother Nature, they don't want me there.
Yeah, you want
I had a nest egg saved up for Comic Con, and I brought on COVID because of it. So I'm sorry, everybody. It's my
You know
fault.
what?
It's because I saved.
Comic Con will be back this year. We're gonna go.
Do you think so? You think it's going to be up and running in time?
I hope so.
I'm down. I'm down
I'm
on the pound with that.
yeah.
Um, so it sounds like
I'll bring my Oculus too if you can play with it.
all right, awesome. All right, I'm in for sure. But it's good to know
Maybe
that
it'll be maybe it'll be open by then. Like
I doubt it. I doubt it. The format, it sounds like the format was good. So I mean, that's the coolest news that I can think of to come out of there because it does open it up for a lot more people to be able to join and see these movies, without financial restraints and things like that. But who knows if they'll keep a virtual piece of
I'm
it later
curious
on.
if they do because I mean if it's gonna run this smoothly, I'm more than happy to do it here.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I love that experience. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing I love most about Sundance was not necessarily the movies. It was, I mean, shit. A lot of the growth we've had at Punch Drunk Critics has been due to those trips to Sundance.
Yeah.
I mean, not just I mean, the post I put up with the link to all the 17 movies, it's got thousands of views on
Yeah, it's
social.
exclusivity. Not everybody goes out there, so yeah.
Right, and but also like contacts made with publicists and agents and fellow film critics who we never really get a chance to meet that we may have just heard of.
Right.
So a lot of that growth has come from Sundance, and if they were to make it like an online only for press or something, I would be both happy and a little bit sad. So
Yeah, because no matter what you do, that's so the social aspect of being next to somebody or walking around or being behind somebody in line for coffee and then starting a conversation, that you can't get that virtually. But um, there are some people living in a virtual world, and I know definitely want to talk about that.
what a transition
Westfield,
that was.
New Jersey, to be specific.
Wow, that was a hell of a segue. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so everything kind of blew up, has blown up on WandaVision.
Okay. WandaVision.
I'm in.
WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
You're not excited enough about that.
Oh, yeah, okay, my bad. I wasn't expecting to be this into it. I wasn't.
This thing blew up the internet, right? I mean, as you would expect it would. Now, the funny thing for me is, normally I watch it every Friday at 3. Like, I don't even think about it. I watch it. I even watched it during Sundance. I took a break from reviews, and I
AM or PM?
I watched it at 3 a.m. when it started.
Okay, so you never get spoilers. Yeah.
When it first launches, it launches at 3 a.m. every Friday. That's when I watch it. I took my break from Sundance, and I watched it at 3. This week, I kind of forgot about it. Because I was coming off of Sundance.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was the last thing on my mind was being forced to watch anything.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch it until maybe about 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And all I knew was when I went on Twitter, WandaVision was trending
At 7 a.m.
Right, but underneath it, Evan Peters was trending.
Oh. People are the worst.
And I was like, but I was like, is that for what I think?
Yeah.
Or is it just whatever? But then I remembered that I had posted the rumor from months ago that he was maybe going to be in the show, and I was like, they didn't really do that. But then I started watching it, and I was like, I could tell they were leading up to it, and I was like, fuck,
yeah,
they did do it. But still, when it happened, it was like, fuck, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was like
they did the thing. They did the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're watching this show, that means you've been on the internet at some point in the last few days, so you already know. If not, go ahead and we've already led up to it, but go ahead and turn it off now.
If you haven't watched WandaVision by now, then you might as well turn this off.
Yeah, because we're done with everything else.
We're going to spoil it, so you might as well just.
So, and this thing is even bigger than I think we're really giving it credit for. At least I'm giving it credit for, because the more I think about it, the more I see the implications it has. You know, the episode ends with Wanda starting to, you know, everything's coming out. She's, you know, it's being found out that she's causing everything. Vision's onto her, you know, or at least it seems like she's causing everything. She and Vision aren't getting along.
Entire episode.
She's losing control throughout the thing. And then there's a knock at the door. Quicksilver, but not Aaron Taylor Johnson. Quicksilver from the X-Men Days of Future Past universe, Evan Peters. And, you know, immediately the first thing is that I said, holy shit, you know, the Spider-Man stuff they're talking about, that's 100% guaranteed now, I'd have to say, or 99% guaranteed, because if they do it with something small like this, of course they're going to try and do that with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Willem Dafoe. I mean, I know we've got reports of them being on set, and it's pretty much guaranteed at this point, but this was the time when I was like, real big things are going to start happening. And it's just everything about this show. I thought I would like it. I thought it would be fun, but I did not think I would be into it like this. I mean, from Darcy coming back and being awesome as usual. The best thing.
How bad do we need a Jimmy Woo Darcy show?
Somebody put on Twitter, next Marvel show needs to be Jimmy Woo going across the country investigating weird, you know, like X-Files with Jimmy Woo and Darcy. I mean, it'd be amazing.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. But
that show needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean,
what did you think about the besides? We'll talk about some of the implications of the Evan Peters thing.
All right, yeah.
I wrote a whole piece about it. Like as soon as I finished watching it, it literally took me 10 minutes. That's how fast I did it.
Yeah.
Because I was just going off the top of my head, and I don't quite feel the same as you, but we'll see.
Okay.
What did you think about the episode as a whole? Throughout this episode, basically, this episode is which is I think is titled "A Very Special Episode."
Mm-hmm.
It's basically we're in the 80s, kind of doing like I believe that's basically the Family Ties set. that they're on for the most
Yeah.
part.
Growing Pains,
So,
Family Ties, Full House. I got a little bit of all
yeah,
of those.
yeah. And this movie deals very much with family. I found it very interesting throughout the whole thing that she was having trouble controlling kids.
Mhm.
Kids are apparently uncontrollable
Right.
for her in whatever this reality is that she's in. I don't understand why necessarily though, which is a question I hope they can answer at some point. But there's a reason why you don't see any kids around. The baby would stop crying. The kids can basically apparently grow at will, which
Yeah.
they do. Which they do. The sitcom tropes that they had managed to blend into this show are incredible, and I think this show is going to be so goddamn rewarding to watch a second time, like in full.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all the episodes are done, and you like can sit down and really take them in and soak in everything they do. It's going to be incredible. Like look at that clue right there that I didn't even notice.
Yep.
Um, but the sitcom tropes are the thing that really get me when I think about the things I'm liking about it the most. Like the thing about the kids growing themselves up to get past things they don't like
Mhm.
is a trope that sitcoms do all the time with
Right.
kids. With there's a troublesome, a meddlesome age for kids, like a troublesome age for kids. They
Mhm.
just grow them past it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that they always do, and they do that with almost every episode. There's some quirk of the sitcom of that era that they use, and that Wanda will incorporate in
Mhm.
some way. It's really incredible, ingenious stuff that they're doing, and I don't know if we're going to fully appreciate it until sometime in like years from now.
I don't think you can. I mean, I think yeah, maybe not years from now, but at a bare minimum, a second viewing after you've seen everything.
This
And
is one of the most inventive things I've ever seen from Marvel. I mean, I think it might be the most inventive thing I've seen from Marvel
yeah, I mean,
because I can't conceive of even thinking of this show.
yeah,
Like
I
I
mean,
can't conceive of
not
like
past the
that
first
first
thought. Even
50.
yeah, I mean, I can see the path to get there maybe if I squint, but it's never in a world where it would become a real idea. And I think what we're or I know what we're seeing is peak Marvel creativity right now. This is they are at a new plateau, and it really shows the secret of Marvel altogether is that we've always known that a movie, a genre movie, let's say, is better if it has a filmmaker that cares about the subject, and we know that. But this trends into that and shows Marvel's really diamond in the middle is that there is no insignificant detail. It would have been totally easy for them to do the whole sitcom thing and say, oh yeah, throw in the regular sitcom tropes. But like you said, there's such a deep knowledge and exploitation and use of everything that we've come to know and love, even things that we haven't thought about for years that would happen in the 80s sitcoms. And you see them, and it gives you that familiarity, and they twist a little bit. I mean, everything from the kids growing up, like you said, to inserting the laugh tracks at different points to make you feel uncomfortable. I don't know if you really noticed that going through, but that's one of the first things that hit me. I'm like, well, that's not really funny. And then the second time I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, that's intentional. It's
Yeah.
it's I mean, it's been the love and care they put into these shows is the reason they're so good, and it's so damn apparent at this point.
And this
And
episode was, I think, the most obviously ominous of all of them too.
oh yeah, yeah,
Like all of them, like there's always been something foreboding sort of in the background of all of them, but this one was like the one where it's like, yeah, there's really something bad going on in this one. Like you can feel it all the way through.
was the first
And
time you really lose hope for Wanda, right? So, up here you're like, even if she's doing this, she doesn't mean to. It's Wanda. She's the Scarlet Witch, especially if you're only in movies. But when you see Vision take them out of their trance, and you find that they're in pain, like they are not just being held against their will and like believing where they are, they're being forced to do this, and it's painful for them to do it, and she doesn't care. She's
well,
gone past caring about any of that.
she's not just that. It's not that she doesn't care. She's in denial, and
Hmm.
that's what this show is. She's using these sitcoms to go through the stages of grief. She's grieving over her brother. She's grieving over Vision, and you watch the progress she's making. She's going through the stages of grief,
Hmm.
and it's just it is such it is such complex construction of this story for her, for a character that is basically had no personality given to her so far in the Marvel universe.
Right.
This relationship with her and Vision has been given no personality, in the
5 minutes in Infinity War. That's all we got.
Right. So it's basically like, hey, this is the most we've seen of their relationship, and he's dead,
Mm-hmm.
and she's got people in her thrall. So it's just they're I don't know they're building out this character in such an amazing way,
Yeah.
and they're also stringing me along to the point where I don't even know if Vision's really going to be back by the end of this thing.
I was just about to say, you said he's dead,
I
but
don't really
we
know.
don't know if
I
he's
don't
actually
know.
dead or not.
Like
Did
I
she
went
bring him
into this
back?
thing fully expecting that he would be back. Like he's totally, of course he's Vision. Of course
Yeah.
he's coming back. I don't really know anymore.
Yeah.
I assume he probably will. But when I'm watching it, I don't know.
I mean, there's a world where people have speculated that she's going to be one of the big bads of the next phase. I don't know that that's the case, but there's a world where this ends.
Saying House of M, and I don't think they're going to go down the full House of M.
No, I don't think so either.
That's
but
way too much.
There's a world where we've already seen Vision pushed back against Wanda in this episode. He knows what she's doing is wrong. There's a place where he has been brought back to life, but this thing ends with her taking him back out and becoming completely evil because she's lost everything. I mean, there were so many revelations in this and disturbing revelations of that, and it's the first time that they've really hinted at her true power. Like we see how powerful he is, but
they had that one. They actually referred to the fact that she could have beat Thanos on her own.
Right, exactly.
Like fans have said it.
Yeah, now it's canon.
It's been acknowledged in the MCU that she could have beat Thanos by himself if he didn't bring in that whole goddamn army.
Yeah.
Fans have always kind of recognized it. She was kicking his ass.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, you kind of feel like, yeah, that's kind of just fan whatever,
Right. It was
but
a cool
they're
moment.
Acknowledging it. They're acknowledging it now. She could have won.
Yeah, and then you see the security clips of her. You find out that she literally went and stole Vision's body from where it was being held, and then one of the penultimate moments, one of the I should say climactic moments, when she comes out of the what do they call it, the anomaly. It's such a standard MCU name for something, the anomaly. Oh, she comes out and you see, like, it was almost like Thor's "Bring Me Thanos" moment when she comes out and she's got her outfit and she's got the red and I mean, just she like flicks her fingers and they point all their guns at the lead agent whose name I can't remember right now. I mean, it was just a display of power. Like, and then you've got Monica Rambeau, who's been really put to the top in this show, and her trying to stay on Wanda's side and trying to save it, knowing that if they push her too far, they're not going to be able to stop what happens next. So I'm all in, to be honest with you. I'm not. I don't know why I'm surprised. I should know better by now that Marvel is infallible and Lord Kevin Feige, hallowed be thy name.
When they're on, they are really on. Right now,
I know. We've all seen Thor: The Dark World, but
right now they're doing some of the best stuff they've ever done. It is incredible to watch.
And my favorite thing isn't just the fun. And it's the last time I'll step over you. Sorry. And my favorite thing isn't just that they're doing it so well, but that they're not doing safe things well. They're taking big swings and hitting it hard and following it through. I mean, this is I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was a big leap. This is a huge freaking leap, and it's paying off more than everything else.
Yeah, no, this is incredible stuff. So I was talking about the Evan Peters thing a little bit, and I was like, I know we're all excited about Evan Peters showing up because our first instinct is, when's Wolverine coming?
Right.
Like when's Wolverine going to show? Like when are we going to see Magneto? When's he coming around the corner? Like what, that's our first instinct is where the rest of
what's next? Yeah.
Where the X-Men. You think Kevin Feige doesn't know that that's the reaction everybody's going to get?
Oh, of course he does.
Of course he does. I don't think that's really Quicksilver. I don't think that's really Quicksilver. I didn't
even consider that. I hate when you do this. I hate when you do this.
Okay. I know. I won't be the
no, because it makes sense. That's why I hate it. If you weren't making sense, I wouldn't listen.
I think he's just some other person in Westview who has been made to play a role, which is literally everything that's happening in Westview. Is that everybody there is being made to play a role,
right?
That they would not normally be playing. Like none of them are playing who they are. They're just playing a role. I think he is someone in Westview who is playing her brother. Because do I honestly believe they should like just consciously recast her brother? No, I don't. Not really. Um, I think he's just there, and then when this whole thing breaks, because it's going to,
Hmm.
he will simply go away. He will go away. He will revert back to whoever he is in Westview, and that will be it. There will be no Pietro. You
Seems
know,
like backlash ready though. Like you know how fans are. If you do that and you cheapen it later, I mean,
there ain't nobody clamoring for Quicksilver anyway.
I know they
We
weren't.
only want it. We only want it. We only think we want it because it's Evan. We saw Evan Peters, but wasn't no one screaming out, "We need Pietro back." No
Yeah,
one has done that since Age of Ultron. Like no one.
yeah,
Like literally no one.
yeah, but
so,
that's you're using logic.
So people who say they're going to be upset or disappointed by that, no, they're not.
They
We didn't
they
want him in the first place.
they wouldn't care if he stayed. They wouldn't care if he stayed forever, and they would probably complain about it and say he was stupid, wasted character. But if you take him, then they'll act like they're offended.
Until the final episode. There's only 3 episodes left.
Yeah.
He'll be around until the final episode maybe.
Oh, you don't think he's gonna really feature in the next episodes?
No, I'm saying well, it looks like he's going to be in the next episode because he was there at the very end
Mm-hmm.
of this one. But he'll be around, and she'll think he's her brother. He'll play the role of her brother up until the moment this thing ends.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll snap back to normal the way other people have when she's lost control and lost her grip on them. And then he'll be just whoever he was before in Westview. But he won't be Pietro. He won't be her brother. He's not her brother. I mean, he's not.
No,
he's
it's literally a different person. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not her brother. And she didn't reach over into the Fox universe and bring him over to just play this role now. That's not happening. When they finally do that sort of thing, it's not going to happen like this in WandaVision. Like it's not. It's not too big of a thing. It's not going to happen. Not I've
been racking my brain.
That happened over in Spider-Man 3 and then Doctor Strange 2. But we're not seeing that happen right now. So this is something else entirely, and that leads me to believe that he is just a regular guy being recast into the role of Quicksilver.
Well, the Spider-Man thing, and this actually really needs to be.
And Feige's fucking with you on purpose because he knows the reaction.
Yeah, and he knows we're already hooked on his goods, so we're going to keep him back anyway. But this actually needs to be, maybe this can be one of our special episodes we've been talking about, is what are predictions for how the mutants get involved? Because the Spider-Man 3 thing is easy enough. Like, it's multiverse. Just like Into the Spider-Verse, we know it's been done. But I have been racking my brain trying to think of a way to bring mutants in that I would be comfortable with that made sense. And, like, people have even gone so far as to go to House of M again and say that this one ends with, instead of no more mutants, say, let there be mutants or whatever.
I'm amazed by people that think that there needs to be some big special thing. Why couldn't they just do a fucking X-Men movie and just say that mutants were always there and people didn't know? Or or was never a big deal?
I would probably be more comfortable with that if it was like.
How would they do that?
Because the question becomes, why weren't the heroes fighting when Thanos was here, and all that? But if I would be completely comfortable with Xavier saying it's a secret school, we didn't know how people would react. Now that all these other superheroes have come out, we feel like it's a safer place for us to be, and we can come out and help more. And actually, I think that would be my most preferred way. Any other, like, crashing in the multiverses, I think all that stuff will cheapen everything that came before it.
I don't want any of that, and I'll almost guarantee you that that's not what they're planning.
Mm-hmm.
I would almost guarantee you they're not planning some big universe crossover thing or whatever, where all the X-Men, all the mutants come over from some other different place. They've always been here on Earth, and we didn't know, or they've been kept a secret. Maybe the X-Men haven't formed yet, and they're going to form in the first movie. So then you can't sit there and be like, well, why didn't they fight it? But no, I mean, but I guarantee they will probably look at the simplest way to do it possible. And I personally think that is the best way to do it. That's just.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to do something splashy. People are going to want to pay for a goddamn X-Men movie from Marvel anyway. You don't need to do something stupid. You could very well introduce one character from them in another movie, maybe, and have that lead into the X-Men movie. But you don't have to do something crazy. Man,
you're killing me with this whole "it's not really Quicksilver" thing because it didn't even. I don't know you're right. I know it makes it. There's logical sense to it. All right. let me live in my deluded dream world where everything is happy and fun and exactly as special as I want it to be. And now you've gone and done it twice in one show because
Dude,
the
I
X-Men always being there is the simplest, most rational answer. I didn't even consider them not being formed yet.
I want him to be Quicksilver like anybody else. Trust me. I want this to be the first teasing of the X-Men like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I also recognize that if you brought in Evan Peters to play Quicksilver, then the expectation is that you're bringing in all the past actors to come and join the Marvel Studios, which is not
that's true.
either.
Especially because his group was not the best group. You know, his group he was with Sophie Turner and Homeboy from Ready Player One, and that group. So yeah, but all right, we got to wrap. We're over an hour at this point. I'm amazed we kept it to just over an hour. I know we both want to talk about WandaVision, but I think we actually got everything covered. So is there anything else that we need to get on?
Nope, sure don't.
All right. Well, back to the closing captions then. Our site again, guys, is punchdrunkcritics.com. Go there every single day for all your news, trailers, reviews, all that good stuff. On Twitter, we're at PDC Movies for the site and the show Twitter handle. Travis is at Punchy Critic, and I'm at PunchDrunkJohn. I think it was before we were on air, but we were talking earlier about Travis's Twitch and how we're working some things out to get him back on there at @cinematic_enforcer. Subscribe now.
John needs to start doing Twitch as well.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it for The Last of Us Part 2. I'm working it out, and if this Xbox app thing starts working, it'll make it a lot easier for me to do so. One thing I didn't open the show with, and I really need to start doing, regardless of how cliche I think it is, if you guys could like and subscribe, like the video below and subscribe. If you're listening to this in audio form in a podcast and you have a second to write us a review, it would be extremely helpful, and we greatly appreciate it. And we're going to be looking at some prizes and stuff like that in the future to get you guys a little that's what I'm looking for, a little motivation to get out there and do that stuff. But if you can do it for us now, we will take notice and we will thank you for it. If you have any tips, questions, comments, anything you want to talk to us about, info@punchdrunkcritics.com. Send us an email there, and we'll be happy to answer it. Until next week, guys, I'm John.
I'm Travis.
And we are out of here.
Later.